Yo, what is up guys, the DB Grinder here, back at it again with another video, and this time I am going to be showing off the decks that I was playing at the YCS remote duel this weekend. I was playing only side events. I didn't have the right deck list for the main event, because I didn't think I was going to remote duel like a week ago when I entered the deck list. So I went ahead and just played side events, and I honestly did very well. The prizes I'll end up getting, I get 3 playmats. I entered a win-a-mat. I'll go over like what I played in. I entered a win-a-mat. I lost the very first round, the Sky Striker. I lost 2-0. I know, I always say Sky Striker's bad, but it was a very unfortunate match. And then the next win-a-mat I played in, I won that. And then I played in a Yu-Gi-Oh! Day tournament. And in that Yu-Gi-Oh! Day tournament, I ended up drawing the worst hand I've ever drawn in this deck. I drew 3 Desires, 2 Bird Call, top deck Red Reboot to hit the crescendo. And then I just drew so bad, I couldn't even, like, there was no playing with that hand. It was so bad. So I lost that. So at that point, I had won 1 tournament, lost 2 tournaments. And then I played in 4 speed duel tournaments after that. The first speed duel tournaments, I won them without losing a match, and then the next 2, I lost to the same guy. Shout out that guy, he was pretty cool. So I had a pretty good time. But yeah, I'm gonna be showing off my speed duel deck and then also my bird deck. So it's like a double deck profile video. But I ended up winning. I won 3 playmats. I won the Obelisk and Slifer speed duel one, which are worth about $50 a piece. I won like 3 like little dual pins that are worth $15 a pop. I got a whole bunch of like the promotional cards that you get when you enter. So all together, like those prizes off like those tournaments. I also won like the OTS speed duel packs. I probably got like $250, $300 worth of prizes off of those like 3 tournaments that I won. But then I also got into the playoffs. And I ended up winning it, so I don't have like any of the stuff to show you because it hasn't been shipped out yet. Like it's still like it's only a little bit after the tournament, but I also won the prize card. So I won the super rare version of the Dragon Link prize card. Also got a Minerva right here. Had the flex, This was my token throughout the weekend. This side probably shouldn't have used it as a token, but a pretty cool token. But yeah, going over the deck list. It's a little bit different than the deck list I posted before, by the way. That's the only reason why I'm going over this again. It's not that much different, though. It's honestly, like, almost the same. 3 Warbler, 3 Fractal. It's very good. 3 Bird Call. This card's insane. Like, definitely one of the best cards in the deck. 1 for 1. I don't think I actually got to resolve this. I'm pretty sure every time I drew this card, I got hit with Imperial Order. Crazy. But yeah, I don't think I got to resolve this card. But shout out to David for letting me borrow the 1 for 1s, and then shout out to David/Alex for letting me borrow the Forbidden Droplets. And Tanky. A lot of this deck was mine though, like Desires. This card's standard. I think this card's 10 times better than Prosperity, and you have to have some type of consistency card in this deck, in my opinion. Like this card fixed so many hands throughout the weekend. I was honestly not drawing that good throughout the weekend. I was either drawing like insane or horrible, and then like Desires would just like make it decent enough to like play. Or I was drawing like Warbler, Sparrow, Talons. Like I love those hands. Then 3 Berry, 2 Swallow, and then play 1 Caress, 3 Nerval. Nerval pretty solid. 3 Sparrow, 2 Wagtail, 1 Kit, 1 dotKuro, like the dotKuro, the Imperms, the Droplets, and the Talents. These were my going second cards. The difference between this list and the other list is that this list is 40 cards. Oath is in the side deck now over the Imperial Order, like I was talking about, because it's just like a searchable Imperial Order. Like it just stops the 1 Dark Ruler or the 1 Droplet you need to stop, and everything else doesn't matter. And you don't have to hard draw it, and like you're just almost never drawing like a hard, like you're almost never hard drawing a 1-of like that. So I don't really like having like a non-searchable out to him when I could just have a searchable out. Talents overperformed. Very happy I ended up switching back to this card. I feel like when you're going first and comboing a lot, you get hit with hand traps, and stuff like Dark Ruler doesn't like help you keep pushing, while Talents does. And if you draw good, then you just like Talents rip a card. If you don't get hand trapped, whatever, you full comboed, unless if you got hit with like Imperm and like you open weird, so you just like lose to Imperm. That's like very rare. Going second Talents is insane. Played versus multiple Bird Mirrors, and multiple times this card just went ahead, took F-Zero, and like that's just game. You just F-Zero beat over Robin, F-Zero negate Robin's graveyard effect, and then you go downer Zeus, and then the Zeus has 2 sends, and like that's almost just, I don't want to say it's like always enough to beat him, but it's very solid. And then one of Apex Avion. So 40 cards. I thought about cutting it to 39 by cutting a Wagtail, but I didn't end up doing that. I might end up switching that in the future for Upstart though. Also, I'll go over it now. A lot of people ask about side deck patterns. If you play versus like Swordsel, you can go ahead and you can take out stuff like this. You take out like these 3. Say like these, and say like these are like the 5 cards that you can like really like afford to side out. It really depends, not versus Swordsel. Let's do versus Swordsel. But it really depends on like what you're playing against and how you want to side deck against them. But these are like the main side out cards, so that's like huge if you don't really know how to side deck with this deck. Probably could help you out a lot. And then I'll put that over there. Extra deck, it's the same as I showed before. Amirage, Double Dragon Lords, Balsam, Samorg, Doom Eagle, Omen, Axis Code, Assembled, Robin, Double Starling, F-Zero, Draco, Downer, Zeus. The only thing weird about this tournament is that they ruled it that you can't do the OTK with this. If you use Assembled effect to make it so you take no damage, and then you Starling crash to try to go for game, they just take no damage. So this OTK you can't do it at the YCS. So that came up twice for me, where I actually just couldn't go for game. But I still won both of those games. But it was unfortunate that that was gone, because that could have just like made it to where like they couldn't like maybe top deck Desires and get out of it somehow. The one of dotKuro, very happy that this ended up being in my side deck. I think having like multiple of these was good. And yeah, it's really it's a pretty good card. It's not crazy, only because it's searchable. It's also a level 1 Wing Beast, which can help you out sometimes. 3 Nib. This card's crazy versus Swordsel. Sometimes it's not that great, but like that's when they open like really good. But a lot of the times Nib is honestly just like very, very good. And it also puts like a body on board, which can come up with Warbler because I don't play Wind, but it didn't come up enough to where I felt like it wasn't worth playing. 3 Droll, Mirror Match. I don't think I saw this card at all. Oath, 3 Harpy's Feather Storm. Auto win going first card. Like if you play versus like most decks, then this card just like wins if you draw it. Oath. This card is very, very, very solid. I think it's good in the side deck for sure. I main decked it there for a little while. I had the wrong read on the format, and I ended up changing it after I realized that my read on the format was incorrect. Then Red Reboot, back row decks. I don't put this in for D barrier. I know some people do. I don't think it's like absolute necessary. I don't think you really like need it in this deck. But you definitely can side out the dotKuro in the main deck to put in Red Reboot if you are afraid of D barrier. And then 3 Twin, just more back row hate. I didn't want to lose to back row decks. Yeah, just that. And like my deck has a pretty decent matchup against back row decks because I Zeus Turbo, but at the same time I don't want to lose against them. And then here's my speed duel deck. Alright, yeah, I had to make sure I organized it. Okay, so going over the main deck, I have like all of them in the same sleeves. I literally just bought 1 pack of sleeves and threw them all in. 3 Parasite, it's like standard for this deck. You need 3 Parasite. 2 Moth. I was drawing double Moth way too much. I think it happened to me 4 times throughout the tournament where I drew double Moth, or like throughout like the events that I drew double. And like in the opening hand, it happened twice. So like I honestly just I didn't have the best of luck, which was really unfortunate. But you know, that's not like a reason to play a third. The math says to play 2, so I'm gonna continue to play 2. Just I recognize when I get unlucky. 3 breakers, card trades really well. It's a body, it pops back row. This card's insane. Main eater bug, main deck 2, side deck the 3rd. I actually don't side deck the 3rd because I just didn't have it. It didn't come in time. So I only got to have 2 of these on my deck list. But the card honestly performed very decent. It's just like really good like to set this and pass, especially if they make you go first. Like because it's an insect, so you can use your skill card to draw. So good card. Would definitely play this again, especially over Newdoria. Like every time I drew this, I would pretend it's Newdoria, and this card was better every single situation except for one, and I still won that game because I was applying so much pressure. 3 Book of Moon. It's just like a good card. It also combos really well with the main eater bug. I didn't play against like any like apprentice magician or anything. I played against magnets, the XYZ deck, and Moth. Those are the only matchups I had. So I was playing against meta decks. Well, meta. You know, it's kind of weird to say meta in this game. But I didn't play against any like the stally type decks where like this combo like beats them really well. This is decent though. I found myself siding one out a lot. 2 Cosmic. I wanted more outs to stuff like Zoma and Nightmare Wheel. I feel like those cards are just a lot of people's decks right now. This also hits like field spells like Union Hanger, the Magnet. Also hits like Parasite, hits Scramble and banishes it. Then 3 Zoma. This card's insane. Like it's an 18 attack body. So like it applies a lot of pressure, and at the same time, if it gets destroyed, it burns. So like that's really good. And 2 Nightmare Wheel. I think I would have ended up playing a 3rd Nightmare Wheel. This is another card that I just didn't have a 3rd of. I wasn't sure what I was gonna cut for it exactly. I really think I was gonna take out like 1 Book of Moon, but at the same time, if I do that, I make every matchup better besides XYZ, because XYZ this card does nothing against. So I'm still not certain how I want to build this deck. Few changes might end up being done though. Definitely worth testing out. Side deck, we got 1 Kaiku. This card's good versus the XYZ deck, Magnet deck. It's pretty decent all around. 1 Nook. I would have played multiple of these, but I didn't have more. 1 Cosmic. This card's really good for going first. A lot of decks force you to go first, and you can just like Cosmic. It's very solid. Then 2 Diffusion and a Lost Wind. If I had more Nooks, I was going to play 3 Nook, and I would have cut these. Feel like that was like worth doing. The extract doesn't matter. I don't play Awakening. I can't go in any of these. These are just the ones I ended up buying. They're like 10 cents each. And like if I ever go pick up the XYZ deck, I already have some of the cards, so that's cool. But yeah, that's really it for the deck profiles. I'm not really going to waste much more of your time. I think the main event did not run smoothly. The side events ran pretty smoothly. I did have a few people get mad at me. The one guy watches the channel, he might be hearing this, but the one guy kept saying like he was like, oh man, like it just proves money wins when I like dropleted him multiple times in the match, and I was like, oh, like that's such a weird thing to say. I don't know. I didn't like that. I felt like he was trying to like, even though I won the match, he was trying to make it to where like, oh, you only won because like you have cards that are worth money, but like whatever. Sometimes you gotta work with what you got. And then there was also, oh my gosh, bro, the guy who I played in the top 4 playoffs screamed at me. I activate Nib, and he has Fleur and Grandmaster on board, and I thought I go Nib, and he goes, yeah. And I hear like, yeah. So I summon it, and I go, I'll summon the token too, and he goes, no. I was thinking, and he was Italian, okay? And this is actually a part of the story, okay? It actually matters. I'm not just saying that because, like, oh, Italian's cheap, but we were thinking afterwards that maybe I heard ye or yeah, but maybe he said think, but, like, the way that, like, Italians sometimes say think is, like, think instead of think. They say, like, think. So, I don't know. Maybe I just heard it weird. Yeah, that guy screamed at me, though. The judge even gave him a warning because I used Nib, and I'm like, oh, you didn't use Fleur. Like, can we get a can we have like the judge say something? Like the judge was here, so like he heard stuff. And the opponent was like, "You're such a rule shark, oh, blah, 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 blah." And, like, he doesn't even know what a rule shark is. It's not what a rule shark is, okay? He doesn't even know what a rule shark is. But I waxed him anyways. Game 1, I did the great thing. I know I said I'm not going to waste much more of your time, but it's such a cool way I won Game 1. So he ends with, like, a very good board. He ends with Enforcer, Floor, Grandmaster, Imperm, and he summoned Ecclesia, so he gets to add Ecclesia back next turn. I end up winning this game, by the way. I pushed through everything, and I summoned Zeus on him, and then I dotKuro Enforcer. Next turn, he uses the Dasher and the Celestial to go into the Supreme, and at this point, it's not a good spot for me at all. But I was able to go ahead and like special summon this back, and just like Wagtail attached to it a few times. He flipped Order on me at one point when I used Bird Call. And yeah, I was able to let him burn himself with Order a few turns. And then I just went ahead. I made F-Zero. F-Zero take the Supreme. And then I attack with it for game. I probably didn't know this card had an effect. Otherwise, he probably would have set some monsters or something. But that was pretty cool. Game 2, I opened not very great. I opened like double Nib, double Droplet, Kit, and Berry. And the Berry was the top deck, thankfully. But he ended up having Blackout and Imperm, so you just can't push through that with these. You can push through Blackout and still Zeus if you had Kit Berry. But you can't push through an Imperm on top of that because they negate Sparrow with Imperm and then Blackout you on Resolution and then top deck Long Young to be able to go for game while playing around Nib. And then game 3, there wasn't much time left. There was 6 minutes left going into game 3. So I can't go first because my deck can't do burn damage. And, yeah, if I go first and I combo, he could just, like, beat over, like, Robin or something for 100 and I lose. So I was like, alright, you can go first. And then I just, like, yeah, his board was, like, Enforcer, set one pass. I impermed it. He had imperm, but it's like, cool, assembled. Poke for 1200, and like now this card makes it so that way I don't take any battle damage. I could get hit with Long Young Burn, but I did have Nib and Droplet. So, yeah, I think it was Nib Droplet. I'm pretty certain. Yeah, Nib Droplet. So I had those, and I was like, all right, like getting hit with Long Young Burn is a little bit harder because, like, if he goes for, like, Grandmaster and searches and summons, and, like, I can drop Nib. If he tries setting up a negate, I can Droplet it. And, like, yeah, I just did that, and I had Amirage on board, too, so he couldn't, like, battle phase attack this, and then, like, I would use effect, he chains Enforcer pops, but even then, like, it just didn't matter, because, like, it doesn't matter if this gets popped, because I just still take no battle damage, even if I have nothing on board. People don't know that about this card. So I was able to beat him. He kept calling me the Italian word that we always see on DB, the like the portico multi-roll or whatever it is. You know what I'm talking about. He kept saying that under his breath. Dude was so mad, but I don't know. Felt like he was kind of playing it bad. But you know that's how it is. Sometimes you just gotta take those. Yeah, I played versus 2 Sword Soul in the playoffs, and I just ended up beating them both. Lost the dice roll in the first one, won the dice roll in the second one. Opponent misplayed in the second one. He used Valor, and then I was able to talent him and rip the Imperm. But if he Impermed me and then Valored me, I would have just lost that game 100% because his hand was Imperm, Valor, Moyi, Vashuda, Long Young. So, like, there's just no way I'm beating this if I can't combo turn 1. I'll just, like, get OTK'd. But, yeah. With all that being said, the DB Grinder signing off. Peace. Remote duels was decent, and DB Grinder sleeves. Have a nice day.